Hey, how's it going, everybody? Brett and Briggs here today, giving you guys another pellet stove parts replacement video. Today we're going to be working on a Quadra-Fire Santa Fe pellet stove. And well, Dad, what are we replacing?
Welcome to the channel! Today we are going to be putting in this convection room air fan in this Quadra-Fire Santa Fe. And for you at home, when you do the project, as always, take your time, have some fun, do a professional job. Let's get to work.
All right.
Okay, friends. Now, before you do any repairs on your pellet stove, unplug the stove prior to doing any repairs or service. And if you feel uncomfortable doing any repairs, call your local service provider. We're going to go on to the next step. Let's do it! Okay, friends, this is everything you're going to need. First of all, you're going to need this Sharpie pen. Just take a moment. I did this myself. Like, share, and the button subscribe. Please help Briggs and I build the channel. Okay, let's get going now. These are the tools that you need. If you've got an impact gun, this works really good if you use a socket on the end of it, 7/16. Now I'm going to go over here. If you've got a socket set, here's your ratchet and a 7/16" socket. And if you don't have that, good golly, just a crescent wrench. And there you go. And here's the fan that we're going to put in. And we're gonna just put it in on this side of the stove, and it'll probably take us about 10 minutes. You at your house, it may take you 10 or 15 or 17 minutes, but again, slow down, do a nice job, and you'll be very, very happy with your repair. Let's go on to the next step.
All right, so for the first step, we're going to be focusing on taking off the side panels. So right over here, we're going to go on this side. We're going to be taking off this panel and this panel. Right in the back, they're held up by these two nuts here for the top one and one for the bottom one. Now, Dad, why don't you tell them about how the older models were held up for the sides? What did they do?
Well, this is a newer model, and you have to take off the three nuts to take off the side panels. But some of the older Santa Fe's, they had the panels that would just basically open up and close via magnet. So if yours just opens up, you won't have to take this step.
Exactly. All right. And with those two taken off, you can see right here is your convection fan. And we're going to be focusing on this area right here. Okay, so now that we have access to the convection fan, we're going to focus on a few key points. So key point number one, we're going to focus on disconnecting the wires. Number two, we're going to focus on this wing nut here. And then finally, number three is the focus on removing this bracket with removing the whole fan itself.
Good golly, that's too much. Let's just do it. There's two wires that come off that dang thing. Show them, just take the two powers off.
Sure. So right over here, we're going to disconnect these two wires. Now, you can disconnect it on this side, or if you really want to, you can go on the other side and remove that bottom panel to have easier access to all the wires. So right there, we have the wires disconnected. We're going to focus on this wing nut right here.
Here, let me focus the camera.
You able to get
Oops! Okay, that's down.
All right, we're gonna focus on doing this wing nut. We're gonna loosen that. Sometimes that might be really tight on there. You may need a tool, may not. And then once we have that removed, you see this panel right here, it's gonna lift up ever so slightly, and you're going to remove it as so, and put this to the side. Now finally, with all that out of the way, you're going to take the fan itself, and kind of a lifting and a twisting motion, you're going to remove it as so, just like this. So remove that bottom bracket and these parts of the fan where the air comes out. And right there, folks, your old fan's removed.
That thing looks like it came out of a swamp.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, every year, if you can, get in and clean out that fan with like a toothbrush, air compressor, whatever you have, and then put it back, and then it will extend the life of the fan.
Okay everyone, so quick comparison between your old fan and the new one. So besides of the newer one looking a lot cleaner, I'm going to focus on the whole bracket parts of these guys. So I'm going to flip both of these fans up. And we're going to focus on this area right here. So the new models, they had this kind of sticky magnet that goes on the bottom right here. And for the new fan, we already pre-placed it to be ready. But some of the older models, your newer fan will come with these grommets. So if you have an older model, these grommets are used for the older placements instead of the whole magnet system. And how they're installed is instead of the magnet right here covering this part, they kind of tuck right in here, and then the fan gently gets placed on these threaded screws that are on the bottom of your stove. So if you have the older model, you'll either have about 2 to 4 of those things sticking out. But if you don't have any of those things there, and if your older fan that you're taking out only has the magnetic piece, you do not have to worry about these grommets.
Well, I think that's right to the point. Will this come off or no?
Once they're pretty on there, well, actually,
let's just rip that Hummer off.
Yeah, let's do it.
Because now, sometimes when you have a fan like an older one, this is the way it'll look, and Briggs will kind of show you how these grommets go on, and you won't have that magnet. So there were some differences in the Santa Fe.
So a lot of times in this field, a little elbow grease, almost anything is possible. So we're gonna put that to the side so you'll see what I mean when I put these in. So you'll have a little crease right in here, and they fold and squeeze in as so to help hold the fan in place and then kind of act as a shock absorber. So if you do have this older model, you might have to have a little bit more patience of putting this in, but either way, these are the two ways that you may be facing.
And I think that's good, because that grommet, see, when you put that grommet on there and you flip this over like this into the back of the stove, like Briggs said, there'll be a stud, and each grommet, it'll be 2 or 4, will sit on a stud. Now, just like so, I think you can see it right here. So that's pretty good, but the newer ones have the magnetic strip, and so that's really, really good. So let's keep cruising. This is excellent.
Sounds good. All right, guys, now we're ready to put our new fan in. So a quick heads up when we do this. I want to focus a little bit on this tab on this plate right here. So it's going to be right here. You'll have this little tab right here that goes in to this hole, if you can see it, right there.
Move your finger back just a little bit.
Can you kind of see in there?
Well, kind of, but put your finger kind of close to it.
It's about right there, folks, like dead on in the center.
There's a notch or a hole.
Mm-hmm. So the reason why I point that out, because if you don't get that in there, you won't be able to line up that thread for the wing nut on this bracket to secure your fan. So without further ado, let's start putting this in. So just like the steps in one of the previous scenes, we're going to be essentially working backwards. So we're going to get the fan in, and we're going to do a twisting placing motion in. So as I dive in and go, we have this fan all nice set where it needs to be. So we don't have to move this anymore, and we're going to be focusing on this guy right here. So sometimes this plate can be your friend, and sometimes it may not. So this part can either go quite quickly, or you might see me stumbling around. So let's just see how it is for today. And well, it was friendly to me. So right there, you'll know when you got it into that notch, when this hole lines up with the threads, and you're able to see as how it is placed as so. So now we can finally take our wing nut right here.
Wing nut!
And I'm going to use my other hand to place the plate down and then nicely thread, as you can see here, this wing nut down. And you just need to hand tighten it, make sure it's snug, no need to over torque it, and there you go. And don't forget, place this down real quick, and don't forget to hook up your wires. So I'll show you guys on the other side how to hook up the wires this time. And so right here, is that enough light?
Yep.
All right, perfect. So right here you got your fan wires, and then you got the wires to the wire harness. So right here you can see 2 black wires and a purple and a white wire. Does not matter which one connects to what. You just want male to female. So when you're connecting these wires, you want to make sure, with the flashlight, you want to make sure that these male ends go right directly in the center of these female ends. Sometimes, if you're not careful enough, that male end will either get tucked on the bottom or onto the top, and you may not have, or you will have an inconsistent connection, and it can cause problems down the line, i.e. the fan may not even work. So right here, we're going to gently connect each line, as so, making sure that goes right down the center, and right then and there, your convection fan is all installed.
That's really, really nice.
I know, right?
Okay, well, let's go on to the next step. Let me move the camera. Oops!
Oh yeah, that's a big oops there. And lastly, don't forget to replace your panels as so. Putting them gently, nicely in, hand threading them so they make sure, whoops, so they make sure they fit just right. And to make sure to add back the aesthetic of the stove and to keep you and your family safe from any moving parts or any electrical wires. And we're going to tighten them as so. And then you guys are all good to go.
And hang in there, folks. A couple more minutes at closing because we have a special for you.
Oh, you want me to get the sign? Alright, got your sign.
There's
Anyway,
the
guys,
sign.
hopefully this video has been pretty helpful for you guys to get your new convection fan in and help solve your problem. Dad, what else you got to say?
Well, thanks so much for tuning in today. And so this is a little special we got going today. And just take a look. It'll save you and your family a little bit more money. Here it is. Pellethead.com. And the promo code is Miles123 at checkout. And yes, it will work. Not expired. It will work every time. Join us on the next video. Briggs and I are going to be doing a different stove next week. We have one more to do on the Santa Fe. And again, we appreciate
You.
No,
Thanks, guys.
let's do it again.
Oh, gosh.
Appreciate you.
Thanks, guys. See you in the next video.